Can you guys talk about the opening scene? I mean, right from the jump, this thing moves, and Gavin is so good in that opening scene.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I mean maybe I'll yeah, I agree. Gavin was great. I don't know Gavin Max Bergman who plays Cal Star. I don't know if we could have made the movie if he didn't audition because like he got it. Like what you see on the screen is what he did put on tape and I was like, thank goodness we have the kid. That opening sequence was all I had for like a year. I just had this
Mm,
idea of this white kid growing up in this kind of border space near an Indian reservation. He's infatuated with Westerns. He maybe identifies in an uncomfortable way, not with the cowboys, but the Native Americans in the movies, and he kind of weaponizes that against a hated father figure. There's that was. I didn't know if that was going to be a short film, what it was going to be. Was it going to be fiction? I didn't know. I just had this idea that there's a bit of autobiographical elements there. I grew up in a trailer near the Muckleshoot Indian Reservation, and so
okay.
it was all just kind of there. So the non-linear element I came across honestly because that's actually where I started with, and then the rest of the story kind of came in to give a bigger context for that opening chapter.
And what about the choice of using him as sort of the MacGuffin in the movie and having it's funny, but I feel like you're also saying something by having this tiny white kid also be potentially as the audience, we don't know if he's the reincarnation of an indigenous icon. So it's like, what the hell's
Yeah,
going on? It
I
really
mean,
sets the tone.
yeah, when I was writing it, I was struggling with making scenes interesting, and in the
Mm.
spirit of play, it's like I don't know where it came from. It's like, well, what if he's a white kid who thinks he's the reincarnation of Sitting Bull? And it honestly scared the hell out of me. I'm just like, I don't think I can do that.
As well it should, right?
But the scenes are suddenly 10 times more interesting. And so I think I got to go with it because ultimately what works for the story is more important than what, signals that I'm on the right side of history. So that was,
Yeah.
it was a little bit of play on the page. And then I just felt just like,
Mm.
I think this is what it wants to be. So I got to commit to it. And so I did.
And the
And
other
let's
part
be
is the
clear.
kid was great.
Let's also be clear about black and white, like fact and logic. It's not that you are eliciting your feelings on something. It's this is a character. Clearly,
Yeah.
the character has something broken and off kilter about them that they're in this position. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, 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 totally. Yeah, like, yeah, yeah. It's not my editorial about how, the children of America should conduct themselves in the
Yeah.
present day. Sure.
Yeah. Paul, you're fantastic in this. How did you get in the mind of Lefty?
I just think it's a really well drawn character. Like all the characters in the movie, they all kind of had their own, I guess, sort of atmosphere. Like people can be atmospheric. When I think of what characters in cinema history have an atmosphere to them, I would say like Anton Chigurh, like Javier Bardem in No Country. Um, I would say somebody like Ned Beatty in Network. His 1 5 minute scene that got that nomination or win or whatever. Certain people have an atmosphere, and all these characters in this movie have their own
Mm,
atmosphere. And the real trick, I think, from my outside point of view, is how do you make them all feel like they're in the same world and that they're not competing with each other? And it really never felt that way. And I think that's a bit of a balancing act, and Tony did it beautifully. And my whole job was, if Penny's kind of an introvert, the character Sydney plays. I'm
yep.
kind of an extrovert. I'm an extrovert, really. If I'm trying to go on all these dates and I'm proposing and I'm talking about my history with the military and my scars, and it's like, wow, this is actually quite interesting. A person of this ilk would normally be probably very introverted, but he is extroverted. So that juxtaposition was kind of fun to play, and I think that with his desire to give love to someone else in his life, it's a pretty powerful thing to latch onto. That was kind of my way in.
I love that he was sort of this simplistic guy, but he really owned it. He was who he was, and you really brought that out. I thought it was fantastic. Um, what about the American West as sort of the backdrop? This is a gorgeous movie to look at. What was it like shooting on those locations?
I thought it was, I mean, it was great. I mean, I grew up in rural Washington states, kind of at the base of Mount Rainier near the Muckleshoot Indian Reservation. So not exactly the same landscape, but maybe a similar vibe. And then getting to film in New Mexico, I did 5 seasons of a TV show called Longmire. That's kind of a modern day Western
Right.
mystery series. And so that we shot outside in and around Santa Fe. And so Albuquerque we actually had some of the same crew there. And so it was wonderful to be in that landscape. There's something about both moral choices and violence that take on extra weight for me in an open sky landscape. And so it was great
Mhm.
to have that there to stage that in. It just feels inherently cinematic to my eye.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Can you talk about some of the other casts? You mentioned Sydney, and we talked about Gavin. The great ensemble cast. Everybody really brought it. Paul, what was it like working in that space, and what was it like directing all those people?
Yeah, I love the cast. I wish I got to work with more of them. I guess I get some moments with Halsey.
Mhm.
I get a very brief kind of moment with Eric Dane's character, but and then of course toward the end I have that run in with Simon Rex. It was just very fun and lively, and we all kind of fell back on trusting the writing and trusting Tony. And I think like I want to be careful how I say this. I don't want to sound negative, but I'm being honest. A lot of movies or shows you do, there are moments where you and the other actors, without even saying it, with just a look, are kind of going, I don't know if I trust this son of a bitch. Um, it's just true. I
Yeah,
can't
yeah, yeah, yeah.
imagine what it's like, working in facets of certain business or politics or something. I'm sure Veep is closer to the reality than we'd like to think it is. But I had a lot of moments on this movie where normally you would say, "Do I trust this person?" We kind of just fell back, and trust fell into it, and it went perfectly fine. And that is
Yeah,
not always the case. I guess it's the writing and the fact that Tony's got a very winning spirit about him. His references with playlists and movie lists, and it's like
yeah,
if you don't have to worry about him passing the test because he did his homework.
yeah. Yeah, it's super rich. They're telling me that's my time. Love the movie, guys. Thanks so much. Can't wait to see what this is an incredible debut. Can't wait to see what you do next, Tony.
Awesome, Josh. I really appreciate it, man.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Josh.